And on top of that, we could infer information about what was a recommendation as opposed to what is currently going on. So you can get a higher level of information out of it using the large language model. So we've just done this as a proof of concept so far. We're getting it reviewed and going through a co-design with the people who are developing the audit reports at the moment. The next one I wanted to talk about was an etiology assistant. So this is something which we co-designed with a psychiatrist at PA Hospital. The problem which they had was they have an interview with a consumer who comes through the doors, and then they go through the whole story about why you're here, what are you expecting to get out of the next 3 days in this particular inpatient stay. And then they went through and created this etiology grid. This is the process which that team goes through. That process, creating this grid, could take them 2 hours, 3 hours, and in that time you've had the interview, you've gone away, you do this, and then you come back. The consumer's sitting there going, I don't know what my journey looks like. So what we've done here is we created a system which will take that interview and it will then create this grid on the spot in front of them. And that actually helps to refocus away from the administrative, away from the computer, keep the conversation with the consumer and saying, this is what's come out of it, do you agree with this, is there anything that we've missed? And then after that, the second part of it is actually a secondary model where you can, in the live version, you can click on a different part and say, we want to focus on this concept. We want to focus on this concept. And then with that, you can discuss with them what the journey looks like and co-design where that journey goes from during that inpatient stay. So we've really tried to bring it back to that human connection, to take the administrative out and deal with the administrative for them so they can focus on the human side. The next one we're going to look at is something which we call NUMA. So this is about scheduling. It's just about trying to on the days which they're required to make sure you've got the right coverage with the right allowances according to all the conditions which they're meant to have, who needs to be on at what times, what staff need to be assigned with what other staff, how much breaks do you need between different shifts, all that complexity. I was shocked when we went through discussions with the nurse unit managers on this, with how long this takes. This process for one unit can take 2 to 3 working days in a month. So because of the complexity and all everyone's requirements saying, I have these holidays booked, I would like to work this afternoon, I don't want to work that morning. And trying to fit all that in, huge cognitive load, a lot of time to spend on that. So what we've done is we've actually used existing freely available algorithms for optimizing and just wrap that into an interface where they can use it. We've built that in a way which it integrates with our system. So we have the integrated workforce management solution in-house, and we've found out where is the gaps in this, why are they still doing this process, taken the data that comes out of that in the format it comes out, and provided it back in an easy way for them to put it back in. So try to use existing workflows and smooth over that process as much as possible. This one we're actively developing, and this is the first cap off the rank for trying to show what AI can do and realise those benefits in Mental Health Addiction and Mental Health Services. One more which I'm going to talk about. So, suicide prevention plans. This is something which a lot of our consumers get done, and some of the best practice for doing these is to make them personalised. You want to have these in a way that someone will want to, when they go home, you can put it on the fridge to remind them what connects you to this world, what are your safety mechanisms, who is it that you call. You don't want a clinical piece of paper which has no relevance to them. So what we've been told is if it's personalised, if it looks nice for the person and they have that connection, it's going to have the most impact for them. But that does reach a problem when you're trying to audit these to see how well we're doing with them, not just have we created them, but how well are they populated? Do they have all the information? Is it actionable insights in there? You have that unstructured information and potentially handwritten information. So with that, we used a different large language model that can take pictures and context and the text that we put in to ask it questions to actually audit these. And then from that, we've developed a system which can actually go through and say, yes, this is compliant, this is the quotes, this is the exact text coming out to say why we believe so, and from that we can track how well they're doing. And finally, just to show you that we're not all about large language models, this is our object detection algorithm. It's called You Only Look Once, or YOLO. Developing a system to look for ligature points. So at the moment, when we audit this, you go around all the different places and you say, this here is a potential risk, this is a potential ligature point. I've developed of systems like this before, where we take an image, you subdivide the image and say, this is the point of risk, and then you can take that photo, you can put it into a database, you can say, this is the risk here, you can have a risk registry, and then you can have people going around actioning and fixing those risks. So it will save a lot of time. It will save months between when you would normally go through the process, develop a report, and then go back to fix them. We can have this information within days instead. So these are the current use cases. I will hand over to Oni to go through the rest.
Thank you so much. My name is Omi and I work as a data analytics and AI manager at Metro South Addiction and Health Service. And I'm going to talk about a little bit on a personal note and from a lived experience perspective. I come from a culturally and linguistically diverse background, South Asian to be specific, and as Shane mentioned earlier, the taboo of seeking mental health is not even discouraged. It just doesn't exist. You just don't have any outlets. So even though I had lived experience from the very young age, as far as I can remember, I had no outlets, nowhere to sort of go and seek mental health. I didn't even know mental health assistance existed. And it felt like a luxury. When you're in survival mode, it just feels like luxury. So not because it's expensive, but also because you're in survival mode. You just don't have the luxury of thinking of how can I get out of this? Is there a way of getting out of this? And then you have the fear of judgment. What if I go to another human being and I'm about to spill my deepest, darkest secrets, and they're going to judge me, maybe behind closed doors. They will talk about, maybe not naming names, but they'll talk about what I'm going through, and then maybe I will become the laughing stock. And what if that will make them biased against me? And that was resonated by one of the directors of the Allied Health, that said to me that any clinician is going to be the least biased on the day of their very first job. The more coming from someone that with a lived experience background and AI and tech, I built a system that was tailored to my needs. What if we could build systems that are tailored to every single person's need? And then the way that it works is that it just takes information from all of your wearables, and then if your heart rate's slowing down or you're not feeling well, it just gently nudges you to seek help. And here we talk about risks. So one of the systems that we designed locally, we asked them how to manufacture cocaine, and it just gave us the recipe. And then there's real world impact of, anyone I'm sure knows that, everyone knows that this is what happened when we get the Silicon Valley design the AI system, and then later on they get sued, and then they think, okay, now is the time for us to start building in all the guardrails, all the ethics, and all the safety networks. And Geoffrey Hinton, he's one of the godfathers of AI. In his Nobel Prize speech, he mentioned something about that resonates the same, that if we let the companies motivated by short-term profits, if we get them become in charge of our safety, there will be a heavy price to pay. So at Metro South, this is how we're building every single AI use case. It's research-backed. It's along with consultation with the peer workforce, the lived experience, clinician, consumers, and it goes through the proper gated process of governance, just to make sure that there are zero ethics failure. So that's it. Thank you.
Very impressed. All right on the dot. Must be the AI telling you.
My mind is always blown away by AI. Like when ChatGPT came out, I almost couldn't touch it because it was just too much for my mind. I forced myself to do it, and I'm still getting forced a lot in my service. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for bringing the human back into the AI as well. It's not just about the AI, it's about the person that we're serving and that it's going to work with. We probably have time for one or two questions. Does anybody have a question, or is everybody...
When patients first present at the PA, how do you see this being integrated so it's not a re-traumatisation interview process?
To start with, we're looking at a trial, we have a trial Party Health and an AI solution to help with recording and condensing the conversation which is currently going on. So that's the same process you go through, but with the AI assistant listening and creating those notes for you. You can use that or you can not use that, and you can still use this system. So if you went through and used that, you would dump those notes straight into our system, into the etiology assistant, and then it would go through the next part of that workflow. So you're not actually repeating the same questions, you're not asking them to go over the story again, using that story you collected in that first round, either through recording it through the ambient AI or typing it in the same way you would type it in normally. So we're not actually asking you to do any more in that, we're just taking that next part of the process where they would hand write that section and then digitising that.
I think we have time for one quick question and one quick answer.
Just what does your team look like to bring all of this to life?
So we have the data science and AI team, and we have a software developer and the data engineering team behind all the, and then we have the mental health information management team, and then we have a like a HP5 or health practitioner that has the clinical as well as the digital background, just to make sure that, you know, and then we have a lot of working sort of committees or working groups where we bring in people from all walks of sort of clinical background and lived experience streams, and people that represent the culturally and linguistically diverse background. And every single time, every single use case that we build it from the ground up, from consultation.
Do you think your local health district is different to others?
Yes.
That's
a million-dollar question.
And that's, I think we can't answer that question in 1 minute because there's so much stuff that we need to do before we could even start doing some of this stuff. But I think if you're really interested in that, you really have to talk to Anton. I mean, they will be able to talk to you through what we're actually doing, what systems they have to do. I think it's part of your headache. Maybe?
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
the word? Or
We work with some
joy? No, it's part of your joy. It's called joy. Thank you, everybody. Can everybody